Hello, 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 and welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, November 29th, 2021. One more day left in this month, and then we start December. The year has gone by relatively fast, I think, and we all know that can be a good thing sometimes, but sometimes not. Um, it's currently 45 degrees here in Georgia, and it's supposed to go down to like 34 overnight. So we've been having some cooler temperatures. As you can see, if you haven't already noticed, I have my blankets up on my door. I do that every time or every winter. I put those blankets up with some magnets. Those are actually um, moving blankets from Harbor Freight, and I use the tool magnets right there. You can see them; they're just held up with magnets, so it works good. It helps retain the heat that I have in here because I have my mini split running, and that helps a lot. So I do see that I already have a Wi-Fi symbol going on. We've had great live streams the last few weeks, but I keep seeing the Wi-Fi symbol kick on and off. So hopefully things go smooth. If not, hang in there. Usually it corrects itself, and we can continue on with what we're doing. I hope everybody is well. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, a good weekend. I know we did. We got to do our traditional meal. We did it on Wednesday instead of Thursday, and everything went smooth. So now we're eating all the leftovers, which is what we do, right? Got to have leftovers. In fact, my wife tonight made turkey rice soup, one of my favorite meals, uh, especially in the fall. Especially in the fall, it's right up there with like chili. Turkey rice soup. It's really, really good. Anyway, hope all are well. Let's see who's here tonight. Terry Keithley is checking in. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. Thank you, Terry. Troy, good evening, Barry and Barriettes. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Yes, I hope so too. That was me. And Rick Gain, after 13 months, my 65 is coming home. It's Wednesday. Cool. Cool. That's a good thing. Glad to hear that. Give you a bell for that. I know you've been anxious and waiting for that to happen. Roger checking in from next door. Glad you're here. Nandu. Hi everyone. Good evening. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. Yes. Bob Shoemaker. Good evening. All just got through with the first round of Thanksgiving leftovers. Well, we don't hesitate here. We'll have every day. I've had Thanksgiving leftovers, and that's okay. The only thing we're short on is mashed potatoes. For some reason, my wife made 5 pounds of mashed potatoes, and that didn't leave much for leftovers. So maybe we'd have to upgrade to a bigger, maybe 5 or 10 pound next time. Sammy Lisa Smith. Hello, friends. Glad you're here. I put your names together there for a second. I did Sally instead of it's Sammy Lisa. Robert, evening all. Mid 70s here. Headed to over 80 on Friday. Nice. You'll have the doors open on the shop. Be getting some stuff done. Dave Britton. Hello. Glad you're here, Dave. In fact, I'll give you the Dave bell because we haven't had a lot of Daves, but I know you haven't been the first one in here recently, but now you are. So I'll give you the Dave bell for that. Rick Gain, 34 in New Jersey, going down to 27 tonight. Yeah, no, no thanks. And I have something I want to talk about too. If I remember, talking about temperatures and cooler weather and all that stuff. Richard, hello everyone. Enjoying the leftovers? Yes. Give you a bell for that. Yes. Gotta love those leftovers. And John Paul. That's different. 2 L's. Is that a normal thing? I've never seen it. The last name, I guess, Paul with 2 L's. That's different. Glad you're here, John. Hope all is well with you. I didn't get a lot done today. And I got some done over the weekend. And I do have a video. I posted the first Radiator video last week, and I have the second one to edit, and I need to get started or film the third segment. Now, when I started doing this, if you're not familiar, I've converted on the 68 Mustang with the stock configuration for the radiator. The 2 outlets for the water necks are on the passenger side. And I'm converting it to basically a 6970 radiator that's aftermarket. It's made of aluminum and it has 2 fans on it. So I guess without really having messed with the later model engines or the parts, I was just kind of, shoot from the hip. Let's go, see what happens. And that's what I've done. And I do that occasionally. And that's what I've done with this. So anyway, I took off the 68 style water pump and I put on a 70 style water pump, which puts the water neck on the driver's side. One of the things that I ran into was the water pumps are a different, let's say, length, or if you stood them up on, on end, height, whatever you want to label it, the depth is different, however you want to put it. From the face of the engine or the timing cover to the face of where the pulley hooks on, right? The output shaft. Apparently they're different lengths. I didn't know that. Now I do. What does that mean? Well, it means that the pulleys now they didn't. The pulleys didn't line up the way they were intended or the way I had originally configured it. So I had to move some brackets, had to add some spacers and correct that, or at least get it really, really, really close. It's not dead on like it was before I started, but it's really close, and I think it'll be fine. The other thing is the water coming out of the driver's side. I kind of understand why in the early cars they put it on the passenger side. And I think a lot of it had to deal with the fuel pump, because the fuel pump is right there. And as soon as you come out with that water neck, you're fighting with the location of the fuel pump. So that's another thing that I've had to kind of overcome. Along with that, if you think about it, well, maybe if you don't know, but there is a belt. One of the belts runs right there as well. In my case, the power steering belt runs directly or briefly in front of the fuel pump. So now you're dealing with the space between what you have left, which is, fuel pump, water neck, fan belt. And you have to get around that to connect to the radiator. So that's what I've been fighting with. And I think I've got it resolved. I used a 70 style radiator hose, lower hose, and I had to cut it down. I had to shorten the thing up to get it to fit the way I wanted it to fit. And I think it's going to be fine, but it's just one of those things that, this didn't just drop in like I'd hoped. And it never does. So anyway, just something I'm working on. Crash Rider from Southern Indiana. Good evening to everyone. Glad you're here. Paul says, yes, sir. Paull. Okay, great. Dave, we got 3 inches of snow last night. Yeah, no. I don't want it. You can have it. March Andy, hey, everyone. Hit the thumbs up. Yes, thank you. John Paul, Hilton Head, South Carolina. First time joining. We'll follow you and enjoy your Mustang restoration videos. Awesome. Well, first time here. Glad you're here. This is, we try to focus on, classic cars, questions, answers, ideas. But we sometimes we go off tangent. We might talk about different things. We might talk about food like we am tonight. We might talk about movies, but we try to focus on the classic cars from, 60s and 70s. That's my favorite, I don't want to say 40s because while they're cool and everything, really the coolest cars were 60s and early 70s. Robert, I can't keep track of Ford engine pump variations. GM was simple. Short pump on the old ones, long pump on later, and reverse rotation on serpentine belt engines, much less to fight with. That is true. That's one thing that I think any of us who have been mechanics over any length of time will realize certain things are a lot easier with Chevy engines. I mean, there's no arguing it. It's just a lot simpler whenever it comes to cylinder heads. Oh, you can put this head on this engine, blah, blah, blah. All these different configurations, intake manifolds, fuel pumps, all these things, water pumps. While there are variations, I know that I think the truck pumps, depending on the year, they're different lengths, stuff like that. But still, I think overall the Chevys have always been a bit easier to work on. And I know that there's people in the Ford purist, realm and Chevy purist or whatever, and they each have their own pros and cons. But overall, like if you're building a race engine, it's cheaper to build a Chevy than it is to build a Ford. It's just the way it is. But still good stuff. Still good stuff. Rick Stevenson, good evening, everyone. Glad you're here, Rick. So I was, working on that radiator and getting things in place. And I've been using, I've talked about it before. I have my phone that I have set up with my Bluetooth speaker. And one thing I like about this setup is whenever I can listen to my music, which I told you before, iHeartRadio 96 Rock, favorite station. And I'll listen to that. But one thing I don't like, although I do, but I don't, is it lets me know when I have incoming calls. So it'll stop the music playing and say incoming call, right? And then it'll tell me the numbers. That's all well and good, except if any of you are out there getting continuous spam calls, you know what I'm talking about. It ruins my radio experience, my music experience. I want to be able to listen to my songs and work away and get stuff done. And it'll pause and say incoming call, and it's some random number. And then the music stops, and I have to stop the call and then re-hit the play button to get it to go. That irritates me. So while we are, I said before, I'm trying to avoid the radio because of all the commercials. It almost feels like the spam calls are the commercials that are interrupting my music now. Not happy about that. Nick, my uncle dropped one end of the car on my rotisserie. Appears to be fine, but I kind of just want to go into a corner right now. How did that happen? He dropped one end of the car. Like the whole end of the car fell off the rotisserie? Is he still able to walk? Ouch. Ouch. That would be a scary moment. Boogie Bomb. Hello, all from Nashville. Glad you're here. Doyle. I saw you posted a new video on the Brooklyn Pony. Are you working on it again? No. It's not a new video. It's actually part 28. When I started making these videos, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, up to 43 or 44. With the intent of doing all that work until it was done. And the video number 28, I got a notification from somebody that said they could not play that video anymore. It wasn't playable. And so I went to my playlist and I tried to watch that video and it would not play. It said this video is unavailable, blah, blah, blah. Like, how can this be? There's nothing wrong with the video. I'm the one that made the video. Why can't we watch it? So what I did is I went back into my archive of videos and I re-uploaded number 28. And I put it back in the sequence on the playlist. So if you're ever bored, just start watching one of the playlists, the Brooklyn Pony playlist, the Jade, Mystique, any one of those. But they should follow each other in the sequence. So I just replaced that video is what I did. Now I know it's getting a lot of views, and I've talked about this with some other people, and I thought, well, should I reload some of my videos? The reason I bring that up is people have said before, like if I make a video on putting in on a fender or welding on a quarter panel, and I've said it in conversations like this, I don't know if I should do that because I've already done it. I've already done it before. And people have said to me, well, it doesn't matter. There are new people looking for that. And if they don't know that you made that video, they may never find it. And I thought that was a good point. So is it worth it for me to, let's say, delete some old video footage, maybe even re-edit some of it and reload it so that new people can see what's going on? Because I know that there's a lot of people still looking for videos, and even though I have 50,000 subscribers, that doesn't mean that everybody has seen the videos that I've put out. And I may just have to consider doing that, take some of the old videos off and just reload them and get it going and see what happens. Robert, ouch, I'm getting ready to start building my rotisserie. Yeah. Rick, put your phone on do not disturb mode. I could do that. That's probably the best idea because I don't answer the phone anyway. If I get, I want to know if my wife is trying to call me or she's texting me or something like that, or if my kids are trying to call me. But spam calls, there's no way you can't selectively say turn off, turn on. I don't think you can isolate whichever ones you don't want to listen to or look at. Dave Conville checking in. Glad you're here, Dave. Boogie Bum. Didn't Monty Python have a skit on spam? I'm sure they did. Spam. I think they did, yeah. Right. In fact, when you go back and talk about Monty Python, this isn't really, I know there's people want Junkyard stories. This isn't really Junkyard related per se, but it's from my childhood. Growing up at the Junkyard. So it's kind of connected, sort of. But you talk about that skit on spam or whatever. I used to listen to Dr. Demento late at night, some little radio. I don't know what the radio station was. I had this big chunky AM radio or something, and I could sit there and find Dr. Demento. I didn't know anything about Monty Python or any of that stuff besides what I heard on the radio from Monty Python. And Dr. Demento had all kinds of crazy stuff, but he had Monty Python. I know there were skits on there with like Robin Williams doing some of his comedy. There was just all kinds of crazy stuff. And I don't even know, I doubt Dr. Demento has continued on. I don't know if they still broadcast any of that stuff, but that was a big part of my childhood. So yeah, I think I heard that on the radio when I was a kid. Ray Buckman, evening all. Glad you're here, Ray. Nick, he had a brain fart and loosened the balance T instead of the main T. First thing I said was, "Are you okay?" Which he is. The car is very solid now and only a shell, so it should be okay otherwise. I hope so. I really hope so. Robert, a machinist I watched will go back and edit an old video again and re-upload it as a classics video. That's not a bad idea. I've got some of my videos. If you go back to like the light blue Mustang, some of my videos are only 4 or 5 minutes long. I really wasn't putting a lot of effort into showing everything that I did or how I did it. So those little 4 and 5 minute videos, they're great, but they don't tell the whole story. And so what I may consider doing is even taking some of those and putting them together. Make 2 instead of 1 4-minute, make 1 9-minute video, because I know YouTube would like to see about a 10 to 15 minute video normally. And I may just have to look at doing that. The problem with that is the older videos are on what is now my wife's computer, and that thing quit working. So I never pull those off the hard drive. I got to figure out how to get those off of that hard drive and put them into another storage device so that I can have those. I don't know if I can actually download them off of YouTube or not. Haven't thought about that. Rick, I watch random videos of yours from years back. Never stopped learning. Well, thank you, Rick. Ron, good evening. Checking in from Northeast Tennessee. Glad you're here. Rick, I've pointed lots of folks on Facebook forums to your videos. Thank you. Thank you. Crash Rider, well, I was wondering about why you're working on component now. I know. Yes, reloading some of your old videos. Okay. Because the reality is, if I go to my playlist or my most recently viewed videos, now some of the old ones, I will say, like the Model A videos, those somehow those are getting watched, and I think that's great. I love to see those get watched. But the other ones, people don't know they're there. They just don't know they're there. So I have to consider doing just that. Now, here's something else for you. If you haven't seen it and you want to see it, it's up to you. The Yes Welder video that when they came here and they filmed, they now have it up on YouTube. And it's under Why We Weld, I think. Yes Welder, I think it's Why We Weld or something like that. I was worried that it was going to be pretty cheesy because a lot of the footage they filmed me, it felt really cheesy. It wasn't. It turned out pretty good. And I was surprised by that. Now, I posted that link to that video on my Joe Daddy Facebook page as well. So if you're interested, if you want to see it, it was kind of cool. It's nice to interact with like a real film crew. Everything I do, I'm filming myself and editing myself and all that. But to have a real film crew makes, gosh, I would be so happy to have a crew that would follow me around and film stuff. Troy, I love Dr. Mento. Me and my wife were talking about him last week. Yeah, I assume he's gone. I don't know. I can only assume he's gone. Rick, you can have a VIP list and in Do Not Disturb mode, only VIP callers will get through. Okay. That's not a bad idea. David Outdoors. Hello, Barry. How was your Thanksgiving? It was great. It was great, as usual. You know, we had our usual meal and everything. And it was, what's exciting to me is seeing or starting to enjoy the moments with our grandson now, who's about 2.5. And next year, in 11 days, about 11 days, we will have our granddaughter here. So that table is going to keep growing, and have more family show up, which is awesome. Jerry, hi to all from Middle Tennessee. Glad you're here from the Money Pit. Nick, we will just call it a field test for 800 horsepower. Okay. That sounds good. Sounds good. Robert, send me the hard drive and I'll see if they can be recovered. Okay. Well, I have a friend who may be able to help me out with that locally. But yeah, I need to do something to try to save that stuff. Boogie Bum, I remember Dr. Mendo would come on late on the affiliate station. I would record the show on cassette. It's also where I learned that nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Well, I remember distinctly a song called Fish Heads. Fish heads, roly-poly fish heads. I took a fish head to the movies. Didn't have to pay to get them in, to get it in. Rick Stevenson, Dr. Meadows on the radio from 1978 to 2010, still broadcast online. Okay. I may have to try to find Dr. Demento. Rick, I can help retrieving old data. Okay. Well, like I said, I have a local friend who's into computers, and maybe he can. I'll talk to him, and just because he's local, we'll see if we can figure it out. David, I've noticed my watch hours are actually dropping. Weird. Yeah. Well, it's. I've kind of just been on a plane. No. I tried different things. I put out for a while there. I was putting out like a video every day on Jade, trying to get people interested. It didn't matter. I put out one video a week. It's the same thing. It just stays pretty much the same. So I don't know. Robert, okay, so there's the link, and you probably can't click on it, but that's the link to that video on the Yes Welder. I don't know if you can copy and paste that or not. I don't know. And Robert says, watch it after the live stream, though. Yeah. Yep. Dawn's Manufacturing. Hi to y'all. Greetings. Glad you're here, Dawn. David out there is hit like button and thumbs up. Yes. David, I totally remember the fish heads. LOL. Yeah. I think fish heads is the only one I remember. I remember a lot of here's the weird part about Dr. Demento. I listened to those as a kid, and you're talking 78, I think somebody said, right? 78 to 2010. So in 1978, I was 11. And a lot of the Monty Python stuff, a lot of the things that I heard, I don't think I understood everything as I should have, but I knew that it was funny and I laughed at it. And later on in life, when I heard or saw the actual videos or movies that these scenes were taken from, it immediately made sense to me why, what was going on. I think one of them was Monty Python's I'm here for an argument. No, you're not. Yes, I am, or whatever. And they go through this whole thing with I'm here for an argument. You blithering idiot. And they just start going on and on. And he says, I'm here for an argument. He says, oh, I'm sorry. This is abuse. Our arguments are down the hall. Oh, thank you. They leave. Just really oddball stuff. Dawn, love Dr. Demento and Fire Sign Theater. Now, I don't know what Fire Sign Theater is. Not familiar with that one. But speaking of comedy and stuff like that, along with that, somehow we had record players and all that stuff. I remember having albums of Bill Cosby. Big albums, Bill Cosby's comedy shows. And some of my friends had George Carlin and different comedians that we would put on the record and laugh at. So, yeah. Boogie Bum, yes, Fish Heads and Dead Puppies were two of my favorites. I've made my kids listen to them many times. I don't know that I remember Dead Puppies, but Fish Heads I definitely remember. Doyle, he introduced me to Weird Al, My Bologna. Yes. It's just funny. There's things that were on the radio, and anymore that you don't see that anymore. You don't see those kind of broadcasts. I think if you go to like Cracker Barrel, you can buy the cassette tapes of old comedy or old TV shows or old radio shows and stuff like that. But they should be selling tapes of Dr. Demento at Cracker Barrel. I think they'd be further ahead to sell that stuff too. Dawn, Bill Cosby, I started out as a child. Yeah. I think my favorite one, a couple of it I remember from that Bill Cosby album, was something about ants. Like when people come up and they kick over the anthill or something, they should have ants have guns that shoot your toe, something like that. And what was the other one? Oh, he did a skit where he was trying to impress a date, and he was at a restaurant and he was trying to order, I think it was Italian or something. I think he was trying to order something, and the date was like, "What are you going to get?" And he says, "Oh, he said I knew I could do it because he had 4 years of Latin 1 in college." And he said that whenever they were placed to order, he ended up ordering two plates of barbecued sparrow or something. Rick, Bill Cosby at 200 miles per hour was one of my favorites. Okay. I don't remember what the album's names were. I just remember the skits. David, we had a Dr. Dirty, a little rough around the edges, but funny. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Ron, the first song our middle daughter sang was Fish Heads. Always enjoyed Dr. Demento. Yeah. It's funny, you think about these memories that come back to you. You could hear one little clip and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I remember that. And just kind of fun stuff that later generations, I don't think they got into it. They didn't see that. They had more videotapes with comedians and radio and stuff like it. Just doesn't connect with them like it did with us. Boogie Bomb, Bill Cosby on putting a Cessna airplane engine in the hull of a 47 Mercury. Don't remember that one. Don't remember that one. Crash Rider, guess I'm old, haven't heard of Dr. Mento, but in 1978, I've been married for 14 years and had 3 boys. Okay. Well, look him up sometime. Dr. Demento just had a comedy show. It was just skits and stuff that they played on the radio. Michael, there's no one close to Tim Conway or George Carlin or Richard Pryor. It's too bad. Yes. And even, you look at the comedy and the way things are done now. Yeah, not the same. Not the same. David, these are the good old days, Barry. Yeah, those were the good old days. Dave, Boogie Bomb, the Mercury Routine, classic. Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't remember. Seeing that one. So, this wasn't my goal to start talking about comedy tapes or songs or anything like that. It just happened to hit, click. David, I prefer some of the older funny stuff than this new stuff. Yeah. I mean, there are some modern comedians that will make you think and they'll make you laugh along with it. But George Carlin, he was very political without being political. His stuff really made you think. He was a master of the words, and you could just get something out of his conversations every single time. Every single time. Boogie Bomb. Yes, I think it was Fat Albert's car. Okay. I don't remember that. Dawn. Fire Sign Theater vinyl. Don't squash that dwarf. Hand me the pliers. Waiting for the electrician or someone like him. Waiting for the electrician or someone like him. That sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. Or someone like him. Someone that knows which end of the wire to plug in. Michael, Don Rickles could insult you and you would die crying and laughing. Yes. That is very, very true. Don Rickles was very good at that. Troy, I got lucky. My new upper cowl fit with only a few adjustments. The lower cowl took a lot of metalwork. Cool. Well, probably the work that you did on the lower cowl pretty much solved the issues with the upper cowl, right? By you massaging that lower piece, the upper piece had less to fight with, by the sounds of it. Ray, yes, the 7 things you can't see on TV. Times sure have changed. Yes. David, now this is a great conversation. Well, like I said, I'm okay with it. Not sure where we'll go with it, but that's good. Dawn says that's great, Troy. Yes. Another thing that if you look back in the 60s and 70s and the songs and the to me, the songs, there has never been a better bracket of songs and musicians and bands than late 60s into the 70s, late 70s. That whole bracket right there, anything put out today is just hokum. It's garbage compared to what those bands did. And it's just funny that we see these things and we connect with the stuff that was our childhood. It was so great. Doyle, the first comedy album I bought was Cheech and Chong's Earache My Eye. Okay. Yeah, I remember listening to Cheech and Chong too. Ray, yes, I could have rattled them off, but this is a family channel. Yeah, I know. Dave, if and when you want to transition back to auto stuff, I just sent you an email with a body question on the wreck of an A I'm working on. Send a few pics. Need some advice. Okay. Let me see what we have here. I don't know if I'll be able to. Oh, okay. So let me download these, and then we'll see what we can put on the video, on the broadcast. That's a good question. Jerry's asking me, Barry, where did you purchase the one-piece engine aprons? Everything I found includes the shock towers. Um, they were Dynacorn pieces. They were Dynacorn pieces, and I think I got them through CJ Pony. But they were made by They had Dynacorn name on them, so that's all I can really tell you on that. Let me see if I can get these pictures, because somebody, we may be able to help out Dave with his question he's having on his Model A. And just to give you some reference, this is what he's referring to. So let me put that picture up there. So this is it's a weathered Model A. It's seen better days, long time ago. And from what I'm gathering, Dave is wanting to repair that section of the car, and it looks like he's got a repair panel. And I'm assuming that you're trying to figure out where to cut this. And I see you have an A, a B, and a C written on there. And I don't know what the whether you're talking about going all the way to the edge or not. Now, the difficulty with these cars, if this is, let me see. Even that looks slightly, maybe it's just the angle. Okay, go back to this one. I can't. So I guess there's a lip there. When I look at this picture, and I know I can't point at this, where the O or D is, I guess there's a lip of some sort. I'm assuming that's a D, by the way. So your question is, where are you going to cut this, right? I guess that's what he's asking. I'm assuming that's the question. So let me just look at. Oh, let me reread the question. I need to repair the slice in my 8/4. This is going to be a beach racer. So it doesn't have to be show quality. My question is, exactly where should I patch? The first pick is the damaged quarter. Second, third pick are the donor panel. Should I cut it at B or D and hide the weld in the body contours? Cut it straight at C or go all the way down under the lip? Okay. Well, I guess with those questions, Dave, is this car going to have paint on it? Are you planning on doing body work? Is probably the bigger thing. Or are you trying to make it look, keep it looking like it's weathered? To be polite. I'm not sure you're going to repaint the whole car? Are you going to do body work on it? Because that'll come into play too. Because some of the stuff you could cut, and this metal is so heavy, you could stitch weld it back together and hand grind it and probably get it to almost blend in and let it rust back the way it is. The advantage you have is your new piece looks really good. And assuming that the damage you're cutting out, if you were to cut on center between A and B, you've got a nice high point that you can blend back in. If you go cut it at the line at B, you're going to have trouble because you have nothing to blend. You have nothing to hide the weld. It's going to end up being bulky right there. If you go to C, you could do that as well. I don't think I'd want to go all the way to D and cut out that whole big section. At this point, I'm kind of looking at going to between A and B. And then, you could blend down that top edge and you'd have just that section to sand and smooth and contour. So I don't know if that answers your question or not. We can talk more about it later if you want. That's kind of where I see it right now, is on that high point. You could cut that, fit it, tack weld that back together, and then you just have that little bit of a area to sand in, grind in. Let's see where I'm at. Barry, where did you purchase the first? Okay, aprons, got it. Okay. Dawn's manufacturer. Oh, I don't know the 70s. The Fugs, I don't know what that is. And saran wrap. Okay. Okay. Robert, one piece for the 66 at CJ is $70 part number. So there you go. Thank you, Robert. Jerry, your answer is right there. M3634R, and I'm assuming L. Dawn, the roll looks different. Well, I think it may be, part of that may be the angles, because we're looking at it looking down and at a slight angle, and this one is positioned differently. They're not in the same plane, let's say. And Dave says yes, it's a D. Okay. Jorge, how you doing? How are you doing all? I think we're all doing good. Dave, not doing bodywork immediately will be ratty. Okay. Troy, what gauge steel do they use on the A's? That's a good question. It's, I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I always get confused with the gauges because I don't use, whenever I do my measuring, I pull out the caliper and I measure my metal and then I compare it. I don't use a gauge tool. I have one, but I don't normally use it. So I don't know what the gauge is for that metal, but it's heavy. They're heavy. Dave, I wouldn't have thought about between A and B. Thanks. Yeah. That's to me. That's like you're putting the weld high enough that you can blend it in. So. And Robert, welding and grinding at the peak is a lot easier than in a valley. That is true. That's what I was trying to say. Ray, I don't know what Michelle. I'm guessing. I don't know what that's supposed to say, Ray. But A and B, your welds is on top of the round. Would make it easier to clean up. Yes. See, we're all on the same page. Good. Doyle, good rule of thumb: keep as much original panel as possible. Yes, I agree with that 100%. Rick, awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you appreciate that very much. Ray, between A and B, LOL. I hate autocorrect. Yeah, I don't know how Michelle became, or how between became Michelle, but and yes, Jerry's thanking Robert. Yeah, between is Ray. Yes. Dave, A's are 18 gauge in most places. See? And I don't know what that correlates to. I know there's a number when you say 18 gauge, whatever that is in thousandths is normally what I go by, because, and the reason for that, is with working on aircraft, we always use thousandths. So if we're building doing reskinning a plane, or if we're building a doubler or a patch, we would say it's 90 thousandths. It's 110. And I could look at that and go, oh, I know what that is. Oh, that's 30 thousandths. But when I look at it, my mind does not go, that's 12 gauge. I don't know, because I didn't grow into that. I was taught to use thousands, so that's where my mind is. Oh, let's see. We're doing the stagger. And Dave says, excellent advice. Thank you all. Yes. See, that's why we're here. Questions and answers the best we can. In the meantime, we'll talk about comedy. Why not? Talk about comedy. Troy, they seem to be 16 gauge or higher. I'm surprised they are 18. Yeah. And see, that's where I don't know how they come up with that system. Okay, 18 gauge is 50 thousandths. Okay. See, now that makes sense to me. I could pick that up and go, oh, that's 50 thousandths. I could look at that. No, that's what that is. Robert, 18 gauge is 50 thousandths. I had to look it up. I hate the gauge system on sheet metal and wire. Yeah, I don't understand how they come up with that. I don't know. I don't know. Dave, this project I'm doing is comedy or maybe tragedy. We'll see. Well, it could be a drama. Could be a drama too. But there was what was on the other day that on TV that I watched. There was some movie that popped up. Of course, now that we are almost into December, I am looking forward to Christmas Vacation. We got to have National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's one of those movies you can just watch it over and over and just laugh and laugh and laugh. You know, I'm just looking forward to that one coming out. And there are other ones that are pretty good. But I keep scanning through my channels going, where's Christmas Vacation? I need to see that. Ray, or suspense on as far as whether it's a tragedy or comedy or suspense. Yeah, it could be. Could be. In fact, I've said it before. Normally at night I go out and I deliver food for Uber. I drive around and drop off food. Well, now that it's into the Christmas season, everybody's throwing up lights and decorations and all that stuff on their houses. And I drove by a house in a pretty well off neighborhood, and they had outlined the whole house in lights. I don't see that very often. It wasn't quite the Griswold thing where they put layers and layers and layers of lights. But these people, this is one of those expensive houses that has multiple roof lines, multiple pitches and all, which I'm not a fan of. If you look at it from a maintenance standpoint, those are just a nightmare. They look cool. Look at all the little hip roof here and gable and blah, 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 and all these. And then it comes time to do, you get a water leak or something and you got to do maintenance. I'd rather have a ranch style roof, metal, even tin roof, not have to worry about it. But anyway, these people had taken the lights and they had every peak and every valley, they had put lights on the outside of the house, on the corners. I think they were working and putting around the windows. And it was and this was a big house. This was one of those 2 stories with a big attic. And I'm thinking, who went up on your roof and put these lights up on your roof? And how did they put them up there? How are those things attached? Because those lights aren't going to just stay there. What are you using? Are you putting screws in your roof or nails or something to hold these lights up? Because that is just creating a future problem. I'm not a fan of it. I'll never do it. But if somebody else wants to, that's fine. Another thing I found, I was doing a delivery, I think it was yesterday, and a smaller house. The guy was doing the same thing. In fact, when I drove by at 8 o'clock at night, he was still up on the roof. I don't know if it looked like he was, I don't know how he was attaching it. I'm assuming he had hammer and nails. No. Not going to do that. And then he had a whole menagerie of stand-up light things, which is okay. I get it. That's cool. But there's no way that I'm going to put anything on the roof. No. Dave Conville, the other A is the drama. This one needs to hold together and roll by October and look like an A. Well, I think you can pull that off. I think so. Robert, it's the best Christmas movie. I have a lot in common with Clark's personality. I would cut the newel post with the chainsaw. Yeah. Ray, yes, but can you see it from space? It's very possible. Crash Rider, Christmas Vacation, been on TV several weeks in our area. Very, very funny movie. Yes, I don't know why it's not on in our area right now. At least, not that I've seen. There's other Hallmark, blah 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 blah, whatever movies, but I'm looking for the good, funny stuff. Dave, interesting side note: approximately 15,000 people are injured per year putting up Christmas lights. Yeah. Let me tell you, there's a difference between what my wife would like to see on the house and what I want to see on the house. I'm happy with the big. I want to just take all of the lights that are wadded up in a ball. The great big bundle of lights that you didn't wrap up properly. I literally just want to throw them in the front yard and plug them in. That's all I want. That's it. There's all your colors. Look how pretty. That's all I want to do. She wants me to go hang the icicle lights all around all the fascia and decorate all the. And I'm like, no. There is nothing. To me, there's no value in climbing up on a ladder and trying to suspend lights from. In our house, I think the peak is probably over 30, 35 feet, maybe. Something like that. 30, it's at least 30 feet up. No. Not going to do it. It's not worth me falling and getting hurt trying to put up some lights. Sorry. I'll be the Grinch. Dawn, Dave, does that make it an A hole? Makes it a money pit hole, right? Third Stall Garage. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'm back working on my 66 after too many months away. Barry, your Brooklyn Pony video on fender fitment was perfect for me right now. Thanks. Cool. Well, just so you know, that's a reload. That's part 28. So go back and watch all of them in the playlist. Just everybody. Everybody just, before you go to bed tonight, click on one of the playlists, Jade or Brooklyn Pony or whatever. Turn the volume down. Just hit the play button. Go to bed. And just let that thing run. Let all the ads play. It all helps. Roger, we put Christmas lights on my race car, mini stock Pinto, in the front yard one year. Yes, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I've thought about doing something like if I had like a derelict tractor or something I could put in the, had in the front yard, just as a lawn ornament piece, I would probably decorate it with lights, just because it's easy to do. It's not up in the air, not on a ladder. You're not snaking it through a tree somewhere. Just decorate the tractor. I would be happy with that. Ray, I used to decorate a lot, but nowadays I run 2 lights into 1 string. Yeah. I think if I do anything, I'll put up just icicle lights on our front porch, just because I already have some loops and wire up there that I put up, and I can just hang them over it, plug them in. Okay, I put up some lights. Robert, my friend has to put up lights every year. At almost 80, I try to have him not do it. I usually help him, but I'm going to try to get him to finally stop this year. Yeah. Here's what my wife does. And to me, these are perfect decorations. She has those little flicker candles. They're like, it's got a battery you put in it, and it's got a sensor. And you take those things and you stick them to the window. You go behind, between the blind and the window, you stick it to the window with a little suction cup. And it's got a light sensor on it. And they come on when it goes dark. They stay on all night. They little flicker, flicker, flicker. And then in the morning, they turn off. Perfect. Perfect. Now, here's the other thing. I will say that I don't normally I don't like to put up a Christmas tree. I don't like any of this stuff. My wife does. So normally what she does is wait till the kids come home, and I'll get the Christmas tree out for her, and I'll put it up, I'll stand it up, and then she does all the decorations. But I had an idea that I should probably patent. I should probably design this thing and make it happen. I want to make a perpetual Christmas tree. And what I mean by that is you go, let's say you have a section of wall and you have a projector screen. The old projector screens you pull down and put back up. You can see where I'm going with this. Have the projector screen mounted on the wall, like permanently. And the projector screen itself is nothing but an image of a Christmas tree. And it has little LED lights in it, right? So you pull that thing down, lock it in place, and plug it in, and you have a Christmas tree. That's my vision. Probably never happened. But that's what I would do. Doyle, hey, Griswold, where are you going to put a tree that big? Clark, bend over and I'll show you. I think there's so many lines in that movie. So many lines. Pixie dust spreader on the tilt-a-whirl. Yeah. Rick, I've done that when I'm on the road. Pick a playlist and let it play while I'm out working. Cool. Thank you, Rick. Jerry, I don't put up. Yes, you don't put up. I see another comment. Don't put up lights. Yeah, I don't blame you. Third Stall Garage. Should fenders ever touch or rub other than where bolts fix them? Like the fender by the cowl or the bottom of the fender where it's currently tight against my rocker? Technically, no. They should not touch. Let's say none of the angled flanges for the fender, they should not touch the cowl. Of course, you're not going to touch the door. You shouldn't touch the A-pillar. It should not touch the rocker panel. Shouldn't doesn't mean it won't. Ideally, you want at least a gap of, I would say a piece of paper, but you want more than that because vibrations and stuff will cause things to move. But no, you should not have those contact points making contact. Robert, we don't even have a Christmas tree anymore. It was on the trailer when I went through to Charlotte. I'll put up a poster of a tree on the wall this year. Yeah. That's my goal. And Jerry says he doesn't put up lights. Okay. Hey, speaking of electrical, we're going to transition right into an electrical. I wanted to show you this because when I was talking about the radiator going in jade and putting in the electrical stuff, I commented or I showed that I didn't have, or they didn't provide the connectors to connect to the fans. They had a plug with basically a male end, but they didn't give you the female end. And I think their plan was you just cut these ends off and splice them together and do whatever you got to do, right? Well, I had my own searching going on, and I had somebody else, I forget who it was now, somebody had assisted me and sent me some information. And there's a place, it's JPM, you may want to write this down, maybe. JPMS Supply, LLC. And you probably can't read that. JPMS LLC, right? And their website is jpmsupply.com. jpmsupply.com. They have all kinds of stuff. All kinds of connectors. Now, I didn't search through their entire inventory, but what I did is I ordered a pair of connectors. Now, they sent me two because I ordered two, one for each fan, right? And this is exactly what I needed. The nice part about it, and I can show you, that's what the male end looks like on the Radiator. And of course, that's the corresponding female end. So, you could cut this in the middle if you wanted to, if you were so inclined, but I don't need this end. No, I don't need this end anymore. I don't need the male end. So I can cut this off wherever and just ditch this piece. The nice part about this, and I don't know if I don't know where I put the receipt. I say the nice part. The parts or the pieces, nope, that's not it, were cheaper than the shipping. So I think this was like not even $2 to get this. And then after it was all said and done, taxes and everything, shipping $8.04 is what I ended up paying for these two connectors. Yeah, I don't know where the receipt is. I might have taken it in the house. But now I can connect those fans and have a disconnect. This is what I wanted. So I'm going to post this information along whenever I make the third video, which I'm going to be working on, or am working on, so that people will know if they want to get these connectors, they are available. You would hope that they would put these in with the wiring bundle, but they don't. Along with that, if you're interested in the Alloy Works Radiator deal, I posted on that video. They emailed me and said, you forgot to post links to the Radiator and the discount. Apparently they're giving a discount through my channel. That I posted a link about that, and then also in the comments on that video I posted the discount code and everything. So if you're interested, go back and check out that video and have a look at it. But there will be more coming on that. Ray, I had a question regarding the earlier video post where the fender meets the cowl. How close is that gap supposed to be? Well, I can't tell you exactly what that gap is supposed to be because I've seen it different on almost every car. The reason for that is factory fenders, aftermarket fenders, variations in stampings. So you want it close, but ideally it almost comes down to what works. And what I mean by that, if you're putting your fender in place, obviously you want to set your door first and get the door gap right. You get the door in a proper plane with the rocker panel and in plane with the quarter panel. You're limited as to how far in and out you can go at the A-pillar. You don't want it so close that it's touching. Part of the door is touching the A-pillar, obviously. And you can't have it kind of cattywampus, right? You want it to be as straight as can be. So when your fender comes in, the skin of the fender to the door is more important than the gap between the cowl and the fender. Because you can't have both necessarily. You can be close, but really you want to have the flatness of the fender and the door together. If that creates a gap up at the top, well, it creates a gap. Not much you can do. So like I said, I've seen these in various gaps. I've seen them super tight. I've seen 1/8 inch, maybe a little over 1/8 in some cases. That's really all you can go by. And then, of course, later on in life, when you set the hood on, you want to have the reveal as straight as you can get it between the fender and the hood. So there's lots of variables that come into play. I can't say exactly what that number should be, though, because it can vary again from car to car. Dave Britton, sorry guys, I have to go to work. I have work to. Okay, he's got to go to work. Have a good evening. Glad you're here, Dave. Robert, I'm still hunting for a weatherproof firewall connector that doesn't cost a fortune. Okay. Firewall connector. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I've seen. I don't know what's out there. I haven't looked at that in quite a while. Too bad you can't salvage something from a modern car. That would be ideal, right? I know whenever I put the wiring harness in the Franken truck, I used the rubber boot setup that was from the '06 truck, and I actually cut a hole in the firewall for that thing to plug into, and it worked fine. But I know what you're saying. Bob, I ran into the same connector on my buddy's 58 GMC electric fan, but the sizes are a little different, making it a heat gun assist install. Yeah. Well, I've already checked these with the fans that I have. Plugged right in. Plugged right in. So I'm happy with what I found. Ray, basically at the mercy of the metal. Yes. Yeah. And that's just how it is. I wish there was an easier answer. Now, it's possible. I don't know if I'd want to do it there or not, but it is possible you could add some filler, material, but yeah, it feels kind of iffy. Phil, hi Barry. I believe fit is very important. Obviously, a paint job is too. Yes. Well, that's what I'm saying. Whenever you finally get to the point of paint, there's no turning back. So you have to do all that prep work ahead of time. And that's why all that work I put in that convertible to try to make sure everything was symmetrical, straight, just as good as I could get it. That's where all that work went, trying to make it right. But as I said before, I think people already, had asked me, and I've had people already ask about the car. No, I'm done working on it. I'm not working on it anymore. It's going to go. It's going to go to another builder. Dave, I am back. It was canceled. Okay. Well, you're not getting another bell. Just kidding. Glad you're back, Dave. Appreciate you being here. All right. So we talked about the radiator and all that stuff and the wiring and whatnot. The other thing, and you can probably see over here in the background, I try to put stuff on my other channel as well. And that's another video that'll be coming out on the Joe Daddy's Workshop channel. I bought an edger. That's a Cobalt edger, electric. So if you're interested, keep an eye out for that. I hope to have that out soon. Robert, on the way are pics of the gaps on the 65 Mustang with 1,300 miles. Owned by the big guy at NPD, factory gaps were atrociously bad. I am not surprised at that at all. Let me see. Oh, wait. Those haven't shown up yet. Yeah, that's the hard part with building one of these old cars. I'm guilty of it. I want those gaps to be as close as possible. And you compare it to a modern car, like this little Honda. I say this is an 04. That's a modern era car. I can manipulate that fender all over the place. Literally. There's no inner structure to that thing. It is just a piece of sheet metal. And if I need to change the gap from the fender to the hood, I literally put my weight behind it and go, and it changes shape. That's all it takes. That's where it is. How do I want to put it? Difficult for a modern body tech to do classic work because they're spoiled with this stuff. You take one of these cars, put on a frame machine, you've got all the numbers, everything you need. You pull it back to zero, and you start test fitting pieces. The core support, it's either right or it's wrong. There is no in between. once you get it set in place and you start bolting pieces on, everything is going to line up and fit. If it doesn't, literally that fender, you could give it a little push here, a little push there, and it'll change shape and your gaps will come out beautiful. And we're spoiled in a sense when we look at modern cars or anything built probably in the last, I say modern, the last 25 years or so, maybe 20 years, because everything is so tight, all these gaps. And you compare that to an old car where you can stick your finger through the gap because that's how it was. It's hard for us to transition from that. We look at you remember the commercials? What was it, Mercedes or somebody? They would take, I think it was a ball bearing, and put it on the gap between the fender and the hood and roll it and just show that how tight that thing is. These old cars were nothing like that. They were nothing like that. Okay, so Robert has sent me a couple pictures here, and I'm going to download these. And we'll get those up here in just a second. Yeah, none of that stuff was comparable to modern things. Dave, I was watching you put that radiator support on the Honda, and it was nice to see aftermarket parts that fit. Yeah. I mean, it really made me feel good that it didn't take any manipulation. It just kind of went right where it was supposed to go. Wait a minute. Well, apparently I did not do that right. Let me go back to look at this. Download. Oh, wait a minute. What did you send me? What is a JFIF? I don't think my computer recognizes that as an option to pick up. Where does that go? Robert, I don't think that's going to work. I don't know what that is. Let me try again. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. Maybe I can get this to happen. Maybe. Sorry for the delay. Let me try this other one. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm getting close. Yeah, I don't know what the what JFIF is. Oh. Sorry. Okay. We'll see if I can't get it there now. No, I still don't know where they went. Okay, that didn't work. Well, okay, let me see what we're going. Who we have going. Okay, Robert says he will convert it. Okay, yeah, because I don't know what that is. Rick Stevens, well, I know that Jif is peanut butter. Yeah, that's the good stuff. Doyle, just like now, the auto manufacturing no doubt didn't plan on these cars being around 50 or 60 years later. Assemble it, get it out to dealer. Yes, yeah, that's the thing. They were really, even 5 or 10 years was probably all they expected these cars to be around. Every year, every manufacturer was coming out with a new design or modifications or upgrades or whatever, and they expected these cars to be obsolete in 5 or 10 years. And like you said, they didn't expect them to hang around, but they are popular and they are still here. In fact, I keep an eye out. I was talking to a gentleman the other day, Steve, good evening from snowy PA. Glad you're here, Steve. I was talking to a gentleman the other day who works at a tire store. And in our conversations, it was brought up about Mustangs. And I said, I'm working on, showed him pictures of Jade. I said, this is what I'm working on right now, 68. And he said, oh, I had a 68 when I was a teenager. And this guy was probably my age, thereabouts. And he said, in high school or something. And he said that, I can't remember if he said he blew up the engine or wrecked it or something. And then it was parked. He said, yeah, my cousin has it. It's probably still sitting in the woods behind his place or near his place. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I said, was it a V8 car? He said, yeah. I think the engine's still in it. I think everything was there, but we couldn't fix it. So we just put it and parked it off in the field or something. And I was like, is it still there? And he says it should be. And he said he was going to call his cousin and find out. And I said, okay, well, let me know. And maybe there's something I can use off of it. Because there are certain parts that I've mentioned before, especially off the coupes, that they don't reproduce. Not that I know of. The window trim in the back is not reproduced that I know of. The drip rail or the seal where the stainless channel runs and then has the gasket in it, they don't remake those. So if you end up having to find those, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I know somebody right now who's looking for parts for the back window trim for a 68. Dave, he said, I'm pretty confident he said it was a coupe, which is okay. It's okay. I like coupes. But I have to find out, one, if it still exists, and two, if they want to part with it or part with parts of it. If I can get the whole car, I'll probably try to get the whole car and just have it. Dave, you never know, that conversation might start a whole series of videos. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I really like the 68s. I was always probably pro 69 fastback more than anything, just because my dad had one and I like the 69 and the 70 Mach 1s and fastbacks. And as time has gone on, I realize that the early cars, they're okay. They're fine. But you can tell the transition, we'll say 64 and a half, right? 65 and 66, they had good and bad parts about them. The 67 was the transition between 6 and 8. So it had some of a 66 and some of a 67. And then it went, well, let's refine that a little more. And then the 68 came about. So I particularly like the 68 coupes. As as much as I like the 69 front end and the fastback, I'm not so much a fan of the 69 coupes or the 70 coupes. It's just the way I am. I like the 68. 67 is very similar, but I like the 68. I'm pretty partial, as Dave has said. He tends to be partial to the 68 because that was his first car. Yeah. Okay, so Robert resent these files. Let's try this again. There we go. That's a JPEG. Yeah, I don't know what the Jiffy GIF thing was you sent me. I have no idea. So let me try to download these and get these in place. Got one. Let's see. Got two. And the reason I'm doing this is these are pictures of a car that has supposed to have 1,300 miles, original miles on it. And we're talking about the gaps and different things. And if this is all, like he's saying, I can only assume that all the stuff is original here. So if you look at here's the hood. And you can see the peak of the hood and the peak of the fender don't match. What year would we say this was? I don't remember. I forget what year, if it was a 65 or 6. But regardless, we know it's a 65 or 6. But you can see the peak of the fender extension, the gap between the fender and the extension itself, all that. You can look at the gap running back on the hood. And then if you go to, here's another shot of the hood, driver's side, that hood is all but touching that fender. Again, this is a car with 1,300 miles on it. So nothing has happened to it in that time period that we know of. And then you look at the other side and you can see the gap. The transition from hood to extension is better. The hood, the fender to extension gap is better. And then the hood gap you can see is kind of wide. And this is further back. And you can see the cowl, the gap at the cowl on that rear section there. And then this is a close-up of the cowl. So you can see the big gap at the back of the hood, the gap from the hood to the fender right there, and then the gap at the cowl. And you can see how that is not even straight. The fender itself and the cowl are not parallel. So lots of variations there. But this one really tells the tale. I mean, you're almost touching that thing. So let's go back up here. Robert, I'll take and rebuild any 65 to 69, even a nearly bare shell. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with them. But as far as the looks, I like the way the 68 looks. Ray, the 69 and 70 are big. They are. They're much bulkier looking cars. I agree. Rick, Dad made me give away my 66 6-cylinder coupe. Wish I had kept it. Yeah. Dawn, Betsy is my first car. That's cool, Dawn. That is cool. Ed, I am a 67 coupe fan. It was one of my early owned cars. I get that. That's why I'm still a fan of the 67 Plymouth Belvedere or GTX. I'm still a fan of that car. That was the first vehicle I bought. Now, this was back in 85 when I got out of basic training and advanced training, came home on leave. I bought a 67 Plymouth Belvedere. And I just thought that car was so cool looking. And I still do. I still want one. I have to talk myself out of getting one frequently. I'll find one for sale and it's like, ooh, no, I can't do it. Robert, the 69 and 70 would fit me better. I have a hard time fitting in the 66 without a seat. Yeah. Without a seat? You need to get those seat extenders, don't you? Or drop them down in a little bit. Robert, I believe that he has the 65 at the Florida NPD showroom. Okay. Yeah, I mean that tells you right there, we're all beating ourselves up on these gaps, and yeah, they're all over the place. Dave Britton, the 68 had the same proportions as the 65. Very true. Same floor pan, same wheelbase, and had the big block like the 69. Best of both worlds. See, that's what I'm saying. There we go. That's why I think in my future build, if I build something, again, I'm way off in the side over here. If I build the red car into something for me, because I love Jade, but odds are I'm gonna have to sell Jade just the way it is. And then the 67, turn that into the fastback. And if I do build the 68, the red 68 into something for me, it may take on a whole different look, but I haven't decided exactly where I'm going with that yet. Ray, I do like the 69 with its headlight format versus the 70 headlights. Yes, I agree with that. I've always liked the 4 headlights. Dawn, a friend of mine had a green 67 fastback with upper console, rolled it on vacation in a Florida rainstorm, came home on a bus. Oh, man. There's nothing positive about that. Nothing. You know, it's funny that as I look back at the junkyard and I think about the cars that were there, because I remember almost every single car that was at that junkyard, because that's all I ever did. And I was in the junkyard every day. I've said it before. We never had any 65 or 66 or 67 or 68 Mustangs. Not one. We had the 69 Mach 1. We had a 70 Mach 1. It was yellow. I remember it was yellow. We had a 69 Coupe that my sister drove for a period of time until the rust got it so bad that it got parked. And there was a 70 Coupe that I tried to fix up that was a 6-cylinder, 3-speed manual car. That's the one that was wrecked. And I rebuilt the whole front end of it and all that stuff. Those are the only Mustangs that I ever remember having at the junkyard. Now, along with that, there was never, ever a 67, 8, or 9 Camaro in the junkyard. I doubt there was ever a 70. I think we had some 70, 70s and 80s in that transition, whatever. But we never had any of those early Camaros or early Mustangs. We did have Mopars. We had Barracudas. We had Coronet 400s or 440s, Coronet 500s, Belvederes, Satellites. There was a lot of Mopar stuff up there. And, of course, all the other different things. Now, I know at one point we had 100 Studebakers in the junkyard. I know that for a fact. We had about 35 to 40 Corvairs. My dad had a thing for those Corvairs. And then everything else. Impalas. We had lots of Impalas. 60, 50. I think we had a couple 58s. 59, 60, up into 61, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70. All the Impala ears. We had all those. The Fords were a lot of LTDs, the Fairlanes, Falcons. What was the other? I guess it was a LTD that, like, what was that? What was that Burt Reynolds movie? Gator. I think it was Gator where he jumped that. I think it was like a '69 LTD or something onto that boat. We had stuff like that. Cadillacs. Had a bunch of Cadillacs in the junkyard. Um, Various pickups and trucks and school buses and just all kinds of stuff. But never any of that early stuff for the Camaros or Mustangs. Didn't have any of those. Doyle. I always like the 68 taillights better. Yeah, I do too. I think the 69, they protrude out of the car. Yeah, that's okay. The 70, I think they went back into the recess mode, but they're really deep in a recess. The 68, they're more flush with the panel. I think that looks cleaner to me. Ed, my brother had a 66 Plymouth Satellite with a 383. I did like that car. Yes. Now the 66 had single headlights. And 66 and 7, it's the same car except for the headlights. 66 had singles and 7 had duals. And I like the dual headlights. Dave, you have not decided what you do with that red one, but what ideas are you bouncing around in your head? There's a lot of different ideas. I've talked about them briefly in previous episodes. I'm not, because the car, it was a V8 3-speed manual, and it's got the wrong rear end in it, which I've got another 9-bolt that I can put in it. There's no engine in it. There is a transmission, which I'm not going to use. Part of me really wants to build it as a 302, let's say, or 289, 302, with a 5-speed. Part of me wants to do it without the old suspension under it. Put in, the more modern style suspension setup of some sort. Maybe add some interstructure bracing, some strength to it, like Don has done with his car. Not to be drag raced, but if I were to do, or if I could, I would love to do some autocross stuff. When I'm out driving, I drive a little Honda Fit, and I will tell you that car handles and drives fantastic because it is small and it's light, has great brakes on it, and I can throw that thing in a corner like you wouldn't believe, and it'll just stick. And as I do that, when I'm not, let's say I may not be doing the speed limit a lot of times when I'm out delivering food, but when I'm on some back road and I can sling it through a corner, I miss that. And I would like to kind of do something like that, maybe with the Mustang. The problem is I don't know who does autocross around here, what the options are. But I think I would like to build it kind of to that side of things, at least at this point. Nothing's concrete, but that is kind of where my mind is going with it. So we'll see. Boogie Bum, my 68 Coupe is my first car. My dad bought it when I was 15 back in 88, and I borrowed it when I turned 16. It was like the one he bought new in 68, but rolled in 70. Okay. So you still have that car then. Cool. I'm still borrowing that car. Yeah. Good for you. Steve, I tried getting parts off that 70 Mach 1. Yeah. Yeah, it was up on the hill. Yellow. Yep. I think the car ended up getting sold as a complete car. That was one of the times. A lot of times when my dad would sell stuff at the junkyard, it was he wouldn't part out something unless it was, say, wrecked. If it was a complete car, I think he would prefer to sell it as a complete car than to piece everything off of it. Just the way he did things. Ray's laughing. Okay. Terry, looking for a 3-piece rear splash pan for my 46 Ford. It fits between body and bumper. Does not have to be NOS. Rear splash pan for a 46 Ford. So does anybody have a rear splash pan for a 46 Ford? If you do, let Terry know. You'll let me know, and I'll let Terry know. Harvey, White Lightning was a movie. Okay. Well, it was one of those. They had White Lightning, they had Gator, whatever. And I think they were all kind of connected. I think in one of those was a White Lightning. They had stock cars and stuff. They were running around. It's really cool to see that, the old footage of those old stock cars and things. Dawn, my brother had a 70 blue Shelby GT350 that got stolen and wrapped around a pole at the driver B pillar, then stripped. We found it 10 years later. Someone had rebuilt it. So that means he got it back, right? Right? That's what it should mean. Unless the insurance company, well, I don't know how they did that back then. Because a lot of times you'll read stories of somebody getting a car. There's a car's been stolen, and somebody rebuilds it or repaints it and sells it, and people don't know that it's stolen. And then when people find out, the owners, they say, "Hey, that's my car. Thanks. Give it back." That's up to that person to go through whoever they got it from and get their blood money out of them. But I don't know what that process would be. Because if it still has the VIN numbers on it and he still had the title for it, it's still his car. Now, the insurance company may have paid him off for it and made him scrap the title, which would still make it kind of iffy, I guess. Ray, my 65, love that car. Some drunk hit me in the backside and caved it in. Insurance totaled it. Yeah. Oh, Dawn to say no, insurance had paid him, so that person bought it from them. Okay. Terry, Dave is saying Ford splash pan on eBay right now, not that cheap, $215. So Terry, I don't know if you looked on eBay, but there you go. Dave is saying it's on eBay right now, $215. So hope that helps. Thank you, Dave. Get a good bell for that. We'll see. We'll see if that helps out Terry. Okay. All right. I'm going to probably end up wrapping this up here in a minute. My wife has made some turkey rice soup. It's good stuff. That's one of my favorite things that she makes. I've mentioned it early in this live stream, and I think I want to go eat some of that. Can you blame me? Good stuff. Robert, most of the early car truck sheet metal was pretty simple, flat stuff with a few bends. Check classicautoparts.com. Okay, so that's another option, Terry. I don't know if you've looked there, but classicautoparts.com or eBay maybe able to help you out. Ray, sounds good. Enjoy. Yes. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you for participating, throwing ideas, questions, answers, talking about movies and comedy and all that stuff. Makes for a great night, and it's been good. I will be back on Thursday. I will try to get out the second Radiator video that I already have filmed. I just have to edit it. I do have to make the video for this little edger that I bought. That'll go on the other channel. And, go back and watch, or like I said, before you go to bed, put on all those playlists, turn the volume down, just let it run. Nobody will know. Nobody will know. All right. So I'll be back on Thursday, and that'll be it. But until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.